It's a kind of spare time job, but it seems to take up more and more of my time. And I've been invited to talk about travel and transport, but actually the more I've thought about it, the more I realise that this is, the whole transport issue is a lens through which you can only understand, it can only be understood by looking at the whole system which it underpins, which it enables to happen, this whole system of globalisation and expansion and mastery, which seems to be the project that characterises our culture today. So it's about travel and transport, but actually, really, it's about not travelling or being transported. It's about living locally. It's about learning to reconfigure the way we organise ourselves, and in fact, not just our relations between ourselves, but the way we understand ourselves as individuals. I'm going to range far and wide, but I'm going to start with a story very close to my home in Nottinghamshire. And I'll read you an article from the New York Advertiser, July the 26th, 2016. Tributes have been paid to a 14-year-old cyclist who died following a collision with a car. Jack Archer of Newton was killed at the scene of the incident on Chapel Lane, Bingham, at about 10:15 p.m. on Monday. The road was closed in both directions. Flowers with messages from Jack's friends were laid near the site of the collision. Among those paying tribute were Ben James and Sam Hall, 14. They said they had spent a lot of time together. He was always happy and energetic, said Sam. He was fun to be with and loved his bikes. Police said there had been a positive response to appeals for information. A 28-year-old man has been arrested and bailed on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving and failing to stop at the scene of the collision. We haven't yet had the trial, but that incident, which really hit the hearts of a lot of people locally, and I'm sure that story, is a cut and paste job. You will find that story in practically every local paper once a year, won't you? You'll have read that. Just, the names and the locations, the victims change. But it's another story of conflict, a theatre of conflict on our streets, close to home. I was reading, watching an article on the Channel 4 News about cycle couriers in London and the risks that they face, for instance. We all know about, I lived in Newbury at the time of the Newbury bypass protests. That's conflict at the local level, but on a cosmic scale as well. We now, in my part of the world, have HS2, and I guess maybe in this part of the world you have a kind of transport issue. Water on white, we can say. So what's going on here?
It's the relief road to Hastings, which opens next week, I think.
Right, well, yeah, and these are all kind of they're just one more brick in the wall, aren't they? They're just one more example of the kind of pressures that our society is kind of submitting people on the planet to. And to understand it, to grapple with it, we have to understand what's driving travel, what's actually pushing it. And it's really not just about mobility, it's about hypermobility. We are getting well beyond what is sustainable in terms of our aspirations for mobility. There's a kind of glamour that's attached to mobility these days. There's a kind of ineluctable sense to it. We're dependent on it. It's very kind of, he talked about needing to get back to Kendal. And I got this sense of you being locked in to a decision that you didn't really want to make, but actually that's the system that we're having to work with. So there's a kind of dependency there, and it affects the way our neighbourhoods are designed, use housing estates are built with the assumption that the car is really the only way to get in and out. And as a result of all of this, as we know, and I'm sure Paul will tell us a bit more about this when it comes to energy, the output of carbon dioxide is going sky high. Actually, the highest can see, if you follow those lines long enough, you will find that plane travel is going to be pretty much neck and neck with car travel. And the problem with, of course, aeroplanes is that the emissions going in at a high level in the atmosphere multiply the effect of carbon dioxide 3 or 4 times. So already, in terms of impact, environmental impact on climate change, that red band for the output from aeroplanes should be 4 times wider already. We've been a long time getting here. Anybody know who painted this? Turner, yes. Rain, steam and speed. Now, I didn't realise that actually there are actually 3 forms of transport here. Can anybody tell us what they are? There's a boat. There's a boat on the Thames. This is the bridge over the Thames at the Maidenhead. At the bottom left, there's a little boat just there. And there's also, right over here, you can't even see it in this reproduction, there's a farmer with a team of horses ploughing. What we've got here is a picture of, it's kind of a conquest, isn't it, of technology over nature. This is mastery on a big scale. This train flying over the terrain of the Thames Valley, elevated over it, detached from it. And it's an illustration of these kind of wider and shallower regions of activity that this is from Wikipedia, by the way. I mean, somebody looked at some pretty good contribution on Wikipedia. If you look at hypermobility, this is the definition you get. The sense that our regions of social activity are getting wider and wider and wider, and our attachment to them are getting shallower, our roots are getting shallower, and at the same time, the environment that it's sort of that it commands is being degraded. And Jack Archer from Newton, for instance, is an illustration of that degradation. So, and there's Michael Northcott particularly has got some really interesting things to say about this. He's one of those people that kind of, you have to read about once every 2 years to be reminded just how important it is to stand back from the way we think. Because he seems to be able to do it all the time. Goodness knows how he does it, because the rest of us are kind of being compromised and ground down all the time. But there are people like Michael Northcott that help you to maintain that kind of prophetic distance, I suppose, from the assumptions that we all live with. And he calls speed a form of ecstasy, which generates detachment from the violent effects of the ownership and use of the devices of speed on the millions who have been killed or seriously injured, and from their systemic effects on the ecology of the earth. So there's a lot going on in transport, and a lot to unpick, because that's all about the assumptions that we come with, that we're born into a world, that don't underpin the world that we're born into, that we take on, that we're schooled in, that we're employed for, and from incarnation. The reign of God came into our midst in the incarnation. He was the fulfillment of that. So, in Jesus you have someone who came and inhabited the soil, inhabited a particular kind of bioregion, if you like, that's Palestine, and really travelled no more than 100 miles at the time down to Jerusalem. I travelled 100 miles just to get here. He did it perhaps, I don't know, a few times. We know he did it twice in his life. He didn't get back last time. But he was a lot less travelled than we are. And he inhabited that particular space and learnt and was nourished by traditions and by everything that it offered in terms of vegetation and food and such like. So the first thing I would commend to you really is taking a walk, noticing the beauty that's on your doorstep, getting in touch with the seasons, finding out what foods are in season around you, and watching them change. We have that privilege now, don't we? Don't miss it over the next few weeks, because it's something precious. Get connected with people around you and seek out like-minded people. Learn again what it is to live with ordinary people, not just people like you or me, but with other people. There's a huge variety out there. So, and I think one of the points I suppose I want to make here is that the journey we have to take is not just an ethical one, it's a spiritual one. And if we are the people who learn that the reign of God is in our midst, then we're also the people who share that message. We are the people who announce the coming of this reign. And this is evangelization. This is the good news that our society needs. People are hungry for it, but they don't have a place to discover it. And I hope somehow that churches can become places where an alternative humanity can be revealed. But sometimes it's hard to see in all kind of rules and regulations that seem to preoccupy those in charge. Secondly, when you buy, enrich your neighbourhood. We've got here, this is the Bristol pound. There are local currencies popping up here and there. They grew out of a few local initiatives like the Transition Towns Network, which as a brand is kind of maybe not quite what it was, but the principles have definitely got into the consciousness. And the whole principle of a local currency is to enable the circulation of more money locally to create local prosperity, and to enrich the whole what's called social capital of the area, so that it's not just that kind of widening and shallowing out of relations that we looked at earlier. There's quite a few ambiguities around this. For instance, fair trade. Just as a little sort of thought experiment, think about whether it's right to buy fair trade sugar when fair trade sugar inherently is made from cane sugar, which is imported from developing countries, and a couple of miles up the road I've got a sugar refinery that's grown, that deals with sugar beet, that's grown by a friend of mine on the outskirts of Newark. So, there are some questions really to think about there. But what it does is it engages those of us who care about that in advocating for localisation, making its choices possible. When you travel, go lightly. This is probably what you all came expecting to be talking about. It's about the choices that you make. Reducing the impact, of course, the lion's share of carbon emissions coming from private motor transport at the moment, and the intensity of private motor transport at the top there, the large car have to travel, then it's going to be the choices that you can make, perhaps, I would argue, should be the ones that drive change. So it's expensive, but you know, electric cars are coming onto the market. We need to turn this trend around. Those lines need to start coming down. They look as though at the moment they're inexorably going upwards. We need to expose this false dream that we can carry on doing what we're doing, but develop more efficient machines. So this is saying that, yes, the intensity of materials